Hi there and welcome to another part in our series Start Your Own Business. Today we're talking about employees. What should we know? I'm Catherine Young, the owner from Think Room Consulting. By now you know me well. And in studio with me we've got Tyron. Tyron, welcome.
Hello there. Hi, I'm Tyron, founder of Zulu Business Management, effectively helping you get going and started. So yeah, let's help.
I know, and we've got to really time ourselves in this session because talking about employees could really become a very interesting topic. Tyron, let's start. You know, when you have a small business, you start on your own, and then I think you coined the phrase earlier today when we spoke, when you get your first employee, they basically take your job as the small business owner, and then you get onto the next job. Why is it important that we care for employees?
Well, the thing is, when you're starting out as an SME, what you're looking at is your first employee really is an extension of you, because you're finding that you are working yourself out of a job and you're entrusting all your knowledge to someone else.
Yes.
So it's incredibly important to care for them properly, because you don't want to set them up as as the competition.
Yes, exactly.
Because that's it'll happen if you now mistreat them or don't do all the all the right stuff.
Yeah.
They'll leave, and next week they'll be opening up, next door.
Yeah,
So,
but employees are a large part of your bill, right? Of your expenses every month.
yeah,
I'm asking a real
it's
question,
true.
right?
It's very true. Employees are probably the second sort of hardest topic to crack, apart from your actual product. Because if your product's out there, nice and neat, you know how it works, who actually works on their product?
Yes.
Who sells their product?
Yeah.
Who fixes it? Who deals with all the client issues? Who actually invoices the actual product? Those are your actual employees.
Yeah.
Initially, it was you.
Exactly.
You sat there, to 24 out of 24 hours, off you went. Now it's your actual employees.
Yes.
So it's crucial, and they cost a lot of money.
That's right.
They cause a lot of headaches. I used to have hair before I had employees. So
I understand. Yeah. I used to not have wrinkles before I had employees.
No. But all jokes aside, employees are the actual lifeblood of your company.
Yeah.
And we joke, but it's good to have the right structures, put all the things in place, and understand what employees, what you need in place to actually have them.
I want to drill down even further. I mean, I'm hammering on it, but it's important that you get the right employees into your business, because you have the salary costs, but there are other costs like training them, induction costs, recruitment costs, productivity costs when they're not working at full capacity, or when they arrive late for work or leave early, etc., etc. And in a small business, we can ill afford that. I mean, it's really important that you choose the right people to come in.
Absolutely. I mean, our background, we're being an accountants.
Yes.
We've actually done the maths, It might be a bit dull, but it effectively takes 3 months to actually and recover the cost of hiring someone. And now you think to yourself, well, 3 months, but it's your time, because you're not selling now, so your turnover drops off slightly.
That's right.
It's the cost of the extra desk, the extra internet, the extra PC. Maybe you have to purchase a second vehicle.
Yes.
So all these extra things add on. And on actual average, it's about 3 months to actually get that cost back. So you don't want to lose a staff member.
Exactly. That's a fascinating stat. I also read the other day that it takes the cost of an employee, the salary for a year. If you lose that employee, it costs you the annual salary plus 50%. To get that employee back up to speed completely again. So
Absolutely.
The costs are real.
The costs are very, very real. So it's actually important to make sure that you actually do your homework right.
Yes.
That you find the right person.
Yes.
You make sure all your structures are in place. So, and it's crucial. A lot of, as we know with entrepreneurs, we fly by the actual seat of our pants. We'll do it. But this is the one occasion. Once you've now decided you need an employee, your business says, stop everything you're doing and do this right.
That's right.
That
is good advice.
Right.
Tyron, that is such good advice, because as small business owners, we often don't do everything right because we have so many things on the list to tick every day, right?
Yeah.
So with employees, what you're saying is let's make sure we do that right from the start. Because ultimately, that's the harder side of it, but ultimately, these are human beings with emotions and hearts and families and lives that we have to accommodate, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
And they're the face to many times your clients, when you can't be physically there. So it's good to care for employees, ultimately.
It is indeed. It is indeed. And the thing is, if you haven't got your structures right, and you're not sure what that employee is going to be doing, you're actually undermining them.
Yes.
I mean, all too often, we hear this all the time with our clients. By the time I've trained someone, I could have actually done the work on my own. And you think, but you're missing the point. The idea is, it might take you longer to train like an actual staff member.
Yes.
But once they're trained, you have that time available.
That's right.
You know, you're buying yourself time by passing the work over onto a staff member. And the better you train them, the more time you have. It might take a little bit longer, but, you know, effectively, the better they trained, so much better, because guess you'll be training the next staff member, not you.
Exactly right. And that gets you on as an entrepreneur to get to winning business, taking care of clients, etc., etc.
Exactly.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Let's get into some of the detail. So what are some of the things that we now have to take care of when we want to employ a new staff member?
Okay, we always advise our clients, do some research, you know, in your industry. What are the people that you know? I mean, I always say to our clients, employ staff to do work that you hate.
Yes.
You know, and people laugh at that, but it's true, because you want to do the stuff you enjoy, because that's why you're an entrepreneur.
Right.
You know, if you wanted to be hamstrung with stuff that you don't like, you go to a corporate and you work there. But effectively, you know, employ someone to do the work that you don't like.
Yes.
You know, but
and I would imagine that the secret would be in finding somebody who likes that work.
Exactly.
Because
so,
then there are two happy people in this scenario.
Exactly. So what you do is, that's why you do the actual research, because now you've identified all the areas that you don't like. You do the research to find out, are there people in the market who fulfill that role?
Yes.
Or is it going to be more of a catch-all role that you're going to have to break down later on?
Yes.
So then write up a job plan. What does that person do? And you might think, you know, I don't have to ask them to open the front door. Yes, put it inside the job description.
Yes.
Because what might be obvious in your world, because you've been doing it day in and day out for years, is not obvious in somebody else's world. You know?
Right,
so
right.
put as much detail into the job and description. You know, go see someone who can write up an employment contract, a letter of employment. These things are very, very important. And important. Get all the latest information around, you know, access to information, what your staff can't do. And if you hire someone who knows all the laws, they'll give you a proper employment contract for you and for your staff.
Yeah.
Remember, it's a two-way street.
Tyron, you touch another very critical point. As entrepreneurs, we often just forget to get the contracting done when it's internal, right?
Exactly.
But what you're saying is, and your previous statement as well on the previous slide was, make sure you get this employee thing right from the start.
Yes.
Okay. So employment contracts, very important. Professional letter of employment, I suppose, very important.
Correct.
I often think back of the actual individual receiving that letter. In fact, I can use an example. I was fortunate enough to employ somebody 2 months ago into my little business, and the actual smile on her face when I gave her a piece of paper, to me, I thought this is just another thing to get off the tick list. And she actually said, this is my job offer. And I realized with such shock that for me it's just another thing to get off the list, but actually it means something.
Yes. Well, the thing is, it gives staff certainty.
Yeah.
You know, they've come, because a lot of staff are not too keen to work at a small business.
Yes.
Because small business owners are really all over the place, and I don't mean that in a negative term.
Yeah.
We're running and we're putting out 1,000 fires all at once.
Yeah.
So it leaves staff feeling very, very insecure. And I'll use a personal example. Many years ago, I decided to hire a personal assistant, because I thought, man, not only do I feel fancy, but I need someone to manage my life.
Yes.
Not so much the job, but my actual activities.
Yes.
My appointments, where I'm going, and things like that. And I used a friend of mine who ran a personnel agency. She found me a personal assistant. I interviewed her. Fantastic person. A month later, I received a phone call from my friend. Please give your personal assistant some work.
Yes.
She's not enjoying herself.
Yes.
She's bored. She wants more. So that's what's key. So had I followed this process myself, and I wrote out the job description, I would have known what tasks I'm giving her.
To give her. And she would have had that clarity of what to do.
Straight away.
Yeah.
I could have passed everything off to her on the first day, and then trained her as she asked questions about how does this role work, what would this do? Things like
exactly. I think it's a very, very fair point. Okay, so I understand now getting the job description right, a letter of appointment, a contract in place. Now we have somebody in the business, right? Now what next? After employment, what do we take care of now?
Now that you've got them there and hope that they're not going to be leaving anytime soon,
yes,
it's important to follow the regulatory steps.
Yes.
You have to register them with the Department of Labour. First of all, you prove your actual company as an employer. So your company registers as an employer, and then you register the employee with the actual Department of Labour.
Right.
Then you have to go forward and actually register with the compensation and commissioner,
yes,
in case they get hurt on the job.
Yes.
Those three very, very key. You don't have to worry about pay as you earn yet, because maybe unless they're obviously earning high enough. We not all entrepreneurs start out employing staff earning high enough salaries.
That's right.
So those are the three keys. If they are earning above roughly 6,500 rand a month,
right,
then you have to register and for pay as you earn.
And just for to interject there, for the other countries, you may have your specific regulatory authorities, but there would be a department that takes care of labour, and there would definitely be a tax authority to register with. So make sure that you check the detail on where you register in your particular countries. We're talking about the South African example here. Okay, so you're saying there's a lot of registrations, etc., to get done.
Well, fortunately, there's only the 4 steps.
Right.
There's not an enormous burden.
Okay.
They are trying to streamline it. So for the other people watching, you'll find
yes,
other countries in the world might not have these actual steps. We are on that path of actually streamlining.
Yes.
So in a few years we might only have one form.
Fantastic.
Yeah, which is good.
And one application.
There we go.
And 1 week and not 20 weeks.
Yeah.
Right. So, okay, I understand that. Now they're legally in your business.
Yes.
Now they start working. Now I want to touch on the difficult discussion about non-performance.
Yes.
Okay? It happens. It happens to all of us. It's difficult. Often as an entrepreneur, you want to be nice, you want to make sure that people stay, they don't go. It's difficult to find them working for small businesses. So very often I find entrepreneurs just keep the peace and accept non-performance. But truly we're stifling growth that way.
The thing is, we are, and you're right. And often what we view as non-performance, could be something minor, because we're there at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
You're expecting your staff to be there at a similar time. So we always say, have a good HR person, labor advisor on your team. Not someone you've employed full time, but they're available. They understand your industry. Very, very key.
Right.
Because various industries have little nuances.
Right.
So it's important that you have good contact with someone who does understand your industry. And this is where the whole actual process comes along.
Yeah.
Because in your employment process, once you've got the tasks that you've actually drawn up, you'll have your starting times, you'll have your goals, your expectations, and it does happen. Staff can't be at work at 8 o'clock
yes,
for some reason. Being an entrepreneur, it might be fortunate that your staff can start at 9, but
yeah,
they'll finish at 6.
Yes, exactly.
So if you have that flexibility,
yes,
change it. But you will, I agree with you, you do find occasions that staff just don't follow the rules.
Yeah.
Maybe because you're on the road all the time.
Yeah.
So there's no one there to manage them. So they're not used to having to work on their own.
That's
so they
right.
don't work. They're on Facebook, they're
That's
talking
right.
to their friends.
Yeah.
So nip it in the bud straight away.
I want to actually share an example that, as you're speaking now, I'm thinking of this. I was in an interview once where I told the individual applying for the job, I was honest about this is the life of the business, and this is how hard we work, and these are the outcomes, and you have to be self-driven, and you have to be self-motivated, etc., etc. And I ended up, at the end of the hour interview, the person actually just said to me, "Thank you so much for your time, Catherine. This is not the job I want. It doesn't suit me." I respected that individual for having that, but it taught me a lesson about being open and honest as entrepreneurs from the start, of the employee understanding what they're getting themselves into. I'm not saying it's all bad, it's 5% bad, but you know exactly what I mean,
Yeah.
Tyron. It's sometimes there's pressure that's different because there are only 5 pairs of hands that have to get the job done.
Exactly. And that's why we always advise, set the ground rules up front.
Yes.
And the minute someone actually transgresses those rules, be firm.
Yes.
Be very firm. And it's not as you say, to be mean. It's actually good for all the staff to know. So they know what the boundaries are, where they can work within those boundaries. And that's crucial because they are going to be the next person managing staff.
Exactly.
And that's why, especially for an entrepreneur, get the grounding done right when you employ your first staff member.
That's correct.
Because if they're going to leave, let them rather leave in the first month.
Yes.
Don't let them sit there and you think, I'm a shame, I can't. No, nip it in the bud immediately and to take it from there.
Exactly.
And it might sound mean, and it's not meant to be mean. And if any staff members are going to be watching the video, trust me, your boss is not being mean. They really would like to set the stage that you can actually be the best an employee possible.
And it's about their own personal growth. It's about their own personal development. And it comes back to the other point where entrepreneurs often then just take, like you said earlier, it takes too much time to show, so we do the work ourselves, but then we have not done the skills transfer, and we'll end up 2 days from now doing the work again instead of getting the staff member to learn how to do that and then transferring the skill.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, little things. There are obviously cultural differences. There are age group differences in the firms, things that you have to take into account. I mean, I had a case in point. We had a staff member who worked at our firm, and I'd walked up to her desk to ask her something, and she was on a personal phone call. Fortunately on her own cell phone and not on the company phone. Yes. But she finished her call while I stood by her desk waiting to talk to her.
Yes.
In my day, that would never have happened.
But don't give our age away, right?
I would have said, I have to stop now and talk to my boss, handle the situation, then I can actually go back. So those are things you obviously have to learn with. And the culture of your firm will actually dictate that. So there's no one size fits all, but the basic ground rules. And most countries around the world, most organizations have to comply with a certain basic conditions of employment.
That's right.
So understand those, understand how your firm fits within that. From there, change it to suit you.
Fantastic.
But the basic grounding has to be there.
Some other points that I'm thinking about. I mean, Tyron, it's real, right? There will be some top performing employees and non-top performing employees. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I've got a friend who spends every year and he fires the bottom 10% of his staff.
Yes.
I mean, I think it's a bit harsh.
That's a hard line, yes.
I think it's a hard line, but what he's done is he drives a very large sales organization, and they always need hungry sales staff.
Yes.
So every year they do their evaluation, and the bottom 10% gone. I think he took it from was it Steve Walsh?
Yes, a General Electric.
Yeah, from GE.
Yeah.
I think he's taken it from there.
Yeah.
And his staff are very, very motivated. They're very happy, and they're always trying to make sure that they're in the top 10%.
Yeah.
That works in his culture.
Yeah, exactly.
In our culture, in accounting, maybe not so. We've got to focus on attention to detail and speed of actual processing. It'll change. In your organization, it'll change.
That's right. But you make me think of the issue that every person is different, and some people would be able to work in a culture like that. Personally, I wouldn't be able to, and I always think about how, and I think to my detriment at times, I think as a small business owner, how do I like being managed by my clients? I want to give that same respect to my staff. But really, every person's different. So some people may be able to work in that harsh environment where some people won't. What about this concept of money is not the only motivator?
Well, it's very, very true. I mean, look at a lot of entrepreneurs themselves.
Yeah.
They've left good corporate jobs. They're earning a lot less.
Yes.
Being an entrepreneur, what's motivating them is their goal, their objectives, and that happens with staff.
Yes.
There are the documented cases where staff stay at a company for less money because they like the other members of staff.
Right.
They enjoy the company.
Yes.
They've been offered much higher pay, and they said, no, thank you. I like the people I work with.
Yeah.
I'd happy to stay. So that happens. It does happen a lot. The trouble with entrepreneurs, especially early stage, that we are actually dealing with, a lot of these entrepreneurs have never had a job. So they don't know how to be a boss.
That's right.
So they don't know how to what to do for their staff.
Yeah.
It's a problem I had.
Yeah.
I'd never had a boss. I didn't know how far to take, how to treat my staff from this. I always treat them how I would like to feel.
That's right.
I know I'll be at work on time. I know I'll give my best. And I treat them with, sort of, and respect.
Yeah.
Pay them as much as you possibly can.
Yes.
And you expect that back. Sometimes it's not enough. Sometimes, you don't, because you don't know. And I think a lot of these early stage entrepreneurs that we're going to be dealing with are going to be in that same situation.
Darren, you make a very good point. So I'm almost thinking as you're speaking, if you don't know, then get the knowledge. Get
Correct.
the HR practitioner in to assist you, not full-time, on retainer or whatever it is, to assist you with that. I think many of that one trend of the 40-year-olds starting their own businesses coming out of corporate, there is a good base of corporate background in terms of staff management, etc., etc. But it's saying that, an example I want to use, the rules are not exactly the same for a small business, speaking from personal experience. So that's another thing. I think your idea is very good, of get an expert to be able to speak to for when you get unstuck.
Absolutely. And what's quite nice is that, I'll use SA as a sort of guide.
Yes.
It's in the news a lot. So they always say South Africa's got a very harsh labour environment.
Yes.
That it's hard to employ staff, hard to fire performing staff.
Yes.
And you don't want to use words like fire people and stuff like that. But as an entrepreneur, early stage, it's so hard to find people who fit.
Exactly.
So there will be quite a high staff turnover.
Yes.
And the thing is, people say, but it's hard to now get rid of those staff because they don't fit. And it's, get rid in their sense as well. They would like to move on into a better job that suits them.
That's right.
If you follow the basic rules, and that's the thing that we always find.
Make sure you're clear from the start, like you said.
Yeah.
Make sure that the processes are in place. Make sure the contracts are in place. There's a job description.
Absolutely.
Performance management continuously, in a positive sense, not in a negative
Yes.
sense. I remember now, I believe throughout my life I need to have a personal coach. And I can remember in my early 30s, not so many years ago, in my early 30s, I had a personal coach, and she taught me this. She said, for her, there are 3 steps to staff management. The 1 is self-management. 2 is group management, right? And 3 is relentless performance management. So for me, step 3 of relentless performance management should be right at the end. But if the individual manages themselves, or the group then does, peer pressure, if they don't, then ultimately we get to performance management.
Absolutely. And see, what you're finding is that, because you've got a small firm, you're dealing with that staff member every day.
That's right.
They're sitting as close as we are.
Yes.
You're reaching across the desk and you're helping them with stuff. They're in your life from sunrise to sunset. So you're going to know immediately. You're going to know within the first 3 weeks if this person fits your corporate culture or your entrepreneurial culture, or actually not.
Exactly.
And then you start thinking, how do I exit that?
Yeah.
If you've got the basics in place, the exit is very easy. It's not hard to actually get rid of staff who don't fit your actual culture. See?
And then the positive spin is to keep those who do fit your culture and hope that they will be with you for years and years. Profit sharing, revenue sharing, shares ultimately. That's the aim.
Well, the thing is, a lot of staff, they feel bad also about leaving.
Yes.
And it can be a positive experience, about being honest, knowing, all the things that are in place, what they should be doing. I still have staff now who've left my firm, must be 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And they're working elsewhere. And they're referring that work back to our firm.
Yes.
So they left on a positive note because they realized not all your goals for an employees are going to be satisfied working at a small firm.
That's right.
So yes, early stage, first-time job seekers, people who might want a slightly quieter lifestyle, they want to leave corporate and then move into an entrepreneurial environment. It's not so hectic. Great, they might be there for a long time. But people who have an objective to grow themselves to be the next sort of corporate titan, they're not going to stick around. They're going to be there for a few years, gather as much information from you as they can, and move on to the next person.
And as you say, we work closely with them. It should come as no surprise when they then ultimately leave. I've learned a lot from this session. Speaking about employees is always a passionate one because truly they make the work happen. The employees deal with the clients. And ultimately, it's about growing a family as a small business. That is what it is. So everybody needs to be able to not necessarily like each other, but be able to work together, right?
Yeah, and I think if there's one sort of takeaway that we can make sure that the entrepreneurs take away from this, when you employ staff, stop.
Yeah.
And spend time on your staff.
Yeah.
Just like you did at the beginning and you spend time forming your business, spend time on your staff. Because the less time you spend on them, the less time they're going to spend on your firm. And that to me would
valuable.
be the takeaway.
That is absolutely valuable. So where to from here? There are a couple of resources that we recommend. Make sure you have an employee section on your website if you have a website for your own business. The employee can also then get in touch with what it is you do. I want to just use an example here. We had a website of one of our clients who had all their employees on the website with interesting comments about personal comments about the various employees. And it was such a nice notion that this SME actually got an email from somebody to say, hey, I've been to your website and I saw that you actually expose people in their personal capacity. I want to work for you. So make sure you have an employee section on your website. Use LinkedIn as a source of finding really good people. Networks, very important to find good people also. Go to your specific country's Department of Labor website. There will be good information on there. The Biz for Africa website, also some very good people information, as well as CEDA. So Tyron, thank you for the time. Really enjoyed the session. And then until next time, hope to see you soon.
Okay, bye-bye.